If we only understood how royalty lives, if we understood the privileges of royalty, if we understood what it means to be a royal priesthood, it would totally change our lives. Because, as you are, we are a royal priesthood. But most of us just don't live that way. But we have a new book. It's by Bill Johnson and Kris Vallotton, called The Supernatural Ways of Royalty. And this book unveils your incredible destiny. You are a royal heir to all of the blessings and privileges of the eternal kingdom of God. Bill and Kris denounce the pauper mentality that holds Christians hostage to a mindset that limits vision and frustrates potential. But realizing you are a member of God's royal family helps you to share in the King's power of grace and mercy. It helps you think and act with His authority and show royal qualities for many, many generations to come.
That the Lord began to reveal to me that, you know what? I've made you to be a king. Now when I say I'm a king, it isn't because I'm like the senior associate at Bethel. Because I want to relate to you that you're kings too. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. So in other words, what I'm getting at is, you may say, well, you have a real place of responsibility and authority in this church. And that would be true, and I don't want to play that down. I know that that's part of it. But each of you are kings too. And so the Lord said, I've made you to be a king, but you still think like a pauper, and the world can't hold up on you when you think like a pauper, because you inside don't think you're significant, but people outside know you're significant. And so what happens when you're insignificant inside and you're significant outside is that you begin to destroy. And you don't carry yourself like a prince, you carry yourself like a pauper, but people respect you like a prince. And so I have raised you up, and I have given you dignity on the outside, but something needs to happen on the inside so that you stop destroying the very thing and sabotaging the very thing that I've given you. It began to show me about Moses, and I think this is such an awesome thing that God did in the Old Testament. Moses was raised in the house of Pharaoh. And at 3:30 in the morning, the Lord just began to talk to me. He goes, do you know why I had Moses raised in the house of Pharaoh? You remember that? Moses gets put in a basket, and Pharaoh's daughter picks him up, and so on and so forth. And I said, no. And the Lord said, because a man who's in slavery on the inside cannot free people who are in slavery on the outside. See, like my children, our children, Kathy and my children, we have 4 children. And our children were not raised to be paupers. My children were told through our actions, through our acceptance, the love that Danny was talking about tonight, and through our words, you are important. Your opinion is important. Not only are you important because you're our sons and daughters, but your opinion is important. In our house, and I don't know how your house is, but this worked out pretty good for us. In our house, our children, as they got older, especially as they got to be teenagers, they can share anything they want with us. If we had an opinion, if we said, you know what, you can't go to the football game or whatever, put it in there, blank. And they didn't like that, they were allowed to say, Dad, I don't think that's a good decision. Providing they had the right attitude, they could say anything they wanted to us. Now, once we made a decision, once they argued their case, now when I say argue, I don't like that word. It's not a good word because it kind of stimulates in our minds like there was yelling or disrespect going on. That was never, ever allowed in our house. Yeah, when they presented their case, after they presented their case and we said yes or no, then it was done. And we didn't want to hassle about it. But as they're presenting their case, we're not in no mode. We're not in, you're doing this for nothing because I'm not listening to you anyway mode. Because if you build a trust with your kids and they say, Dad, can I go to such and such place? And you say, no, I don't think so. The only time they're going to present their case is when they think you don't have all the facts, because that's a decision. They think you just made a decision, Dad, that isn't congruent with what you've taught us.
When we change the way we think, when we understand who we are, what it means to be royalty, You'll be amazed at how it changes your life. The book is The Supernatural Ways of Royalty by Bill Johnson and Kris Vallotton. It's available at the online store on the screen. It's available at our website, at your favorite book website. It's available at the 800 number. It's a book you need to read. The Supernatural Ways of Royalty. Order it today.